Okay, so I'll quickly go through some of the tools in detail and just give you a quick explanation on some of the tools that you won't be using for the moment. Now, the tools are available up here on the top. Some are familiar, some less familiar. So the selection tool you should be familiar with from using any kind of an application like Final Cut Pro, Photoshop or Illustrator. It just allows you to select an object and move it around. The hand tool pans the entire composition window. So if you were zoomed in, then the hand tool would allow you to navigate your way around. But when you have the selection tool highlighted, by holding down the space bar, you can actually toggle between the selection tool and the hand tool. Now, that's a very handy way of working, and when you let go, it goes back to the selection tool. The next one is the zoom tool. The zoom allows you to zoom in and to zoom out. So zooming in, you just click on the screen. To zoom out, you hold down Alt and it allows you to zoom out. If I hold down the space bar again, it'll allow me to move the composition window. Now, zooming in and out can also be done by holding down Apple minus or Apple plus. And to zoom in on a specific part of your composition window, click and drag with the zoom tool selected, and it will allow you to zoom in on that exact area. If you have the selection tool and you want selection tool selected and you want to quickly zoom in on something, hold down Z, click and drag, and then let go to go back to the selection tool. Okay, so I'll just move out again. Now the next set of tools start with the rotation tool. The rotation tool simply allows you to rotate an object. Now the next two tools here are camera tools. Okay, so we'll leave them alone for the moment and we'll go on to the next one. The rectangle tool and the pen tool are similar in that they can do two things. If you have no objects selected on the in your composition, and you can see that down here, so if something is selected, you'll see it's highlighted. If you want to deselect everything, then just click either below your layers or out on the composition window away from the objects. So when you have nothing selected and you use either your rectangle tool or your pen tool, it will create a shape, and that shape will then appear down here on your layers. So I'll undo that. Now if on the other hand you have an object selected in your composition window and you use either the rectangle tool or the pen tool, what it will do is it will automatically create a mask, and that mask will reveal only the parts of that layer that it is being drawn around. So you can see that because I had my red shape layer selected and I start drawing a rectangle, it's masking that red shape. I click undo. If I was to leave that selected and get my pen tool, I could freehand draw around here, and when I've closed my shape, it will then have created a mask. And I can then go back and modify that mask using the selection tool, just as you would normally. You can also do quite a number of familiar tasks from Photoshop and Illustrator, such as convert anchor points from corners to curves, etc. And what I'll do is I'll just undo back out of that just to get my red shape visible again. And the next tool is the type tool, which is pretty straightforward. If you click with nothing selected, just click anywhere on the canvas and you can type some text. If you click and drag with the text tool, you'll get a text box which will allow you to type in multiple lines of text. And we'll come back to the text tool in much more detail later on. I can go down here and just select all my text layers, hit backspace. Well, the next set of tools are the brush tool, the clone stamp tool, and the eraser tool. Now the brush tool allows you to draw onto a layer. So I'll just open a layer, get the brush tool, and it will allow me to draw onto that layer. Now it looks very crude, but the brush tool is actually quite powerful in that it allows you to create animated masks, which I'll come back to at another time. Now, the clone stamp tool is pretty much what you would use it for in Photoshop, for cloning a sample from an area and replacing pixels with clones of the sampled area itself. So cloning is the same in After Effects as it is in Photoshop, and the eraser tool then is used for literally knocking out pixels from a particular layer. The next two, the roto brush tool, is used for creating very advanced masks, and the puppet pin tool is used for creating complex animations, and we will come back to those. But for the moment, what you'll be using the most are the selection tool, the hand tool, the zoom tool, the rotation tool, and then a little bit later on you'll be using these three tools here.